Welcome to Search Party. Most experienced surgeons and doctors will say they've seen it all. Most surgery is fairly routine, and it's only occasionally that you slice somebody open and some really crazy shit pops out. In this search we found you a list of some of the craziest and horrifying things discovered in a human body. So let's get start. Number 5. A giant hairball. In 2007, an 18-year-old woman entered the Rush University Medical Center in Chicago complaining of stomach pains, vomiting and an inexplicable loss of 40 pounds. Losing that kind of weight all at once usually means you've had a limb amputated, or recently gave birth to a full-grown midget. An X-ray was taken, and they found a large, dark mass, which ranks up there with colony of spiders in the list of phrases you are least happy to hear after a medical examination. When they operated to remove what they assumed was a tumor, they instead pulled out a 10-pound hairball. Yes. A ball of hair. It was over a foot long. We can only speculate that this must have led to the most awkward post-op interview in history. Number 4. Brain worm. Let's say you think you have a brain tumor. If the doc comes back and says it's not a tumor, what's the one thing that would make the lack of a tumor bad news? Ask Rosemary Alvarez. She was worried about a brain tumor when she checked into an Arizona hospital complaining about numbness and blurred vision. Naturally, they cracked her head open and started rummaging around in there. What they found actually made the surgeon chuckle to himself, which is the last thing you want to hear from a guy up to his wristwatch in your gray matter. He later said that he laughed because he was relieved to find out that there was actually nothing wrong with her. Oh, besides the giant worm that had burrowed into her brainstem. Number 3. A foot-long surgical implement. When 57-year-old Dariush Mazuray experienced severe pain after an intensive operation, doctors immediately booked him in for an emergency CTSCA. No, wait, they just told him to stop making shit up. Mazuray had undergone an operation to install a shunt that would allow fluid to drain from his brain and, 2 years later, he never felt fully recovered. Although in chronic discomfort and pain, Mazuray was told repeatedly that nothing was physically wrong with him and prompted to seek psychiatric treatment. His doctors even went so far as to cite the story of the boy who cried wolf, even though his daughter was able to point to a hard foreign object that was clearly poking out from inside him. Presumably finally fed up with the man's constant complaining, Mazuray's doctors gave him a CT scan, on which they could see a large object located in his abdomen. After reopening the patient's abdominal cavity, surgeons found a set of retractors that had been accidentally left inside the man during the last surgery. Retractors are just doctor jargon for big-ass tweezers, which were probably thrown into the man in disgust after one of the doctors got frustrated trying to pull out the spare ribs. How big were these big-ass tweezers? Almost 10 freaking inches long. And nobody noticed they were in there when they were sewing him up. Number 2. Man fetus. Growing up in Nagpur, India, Sanju Bhagat was often ridiculed for his abnormally large stomach. We all know how it is. Kids can be cruel, especially when you're a man who has looked pregnant his entire life. It's kind of a horrifying irony that it was ultimately discovered he had been pregnant his entire life. Sort of. He finally did something about his situation one night when he was rushed to the hospital with shortness of breath and severe pain. When the doctors attempted to remove what they assumed was a tumor, they were mildly shocked to find. Wait, seriously? A partially formed fetus. Holy shit, that's like a scene from a freaking John Carpenter movie. Except like 10 times worse. One doctor's natural reaction was apparently to shake hands with the abomination, which had limbs, hair and genitalia. Number 1 An entire cutlery store. Now, we here can't judge others by what they choose to eat. Since the cracked company picnic usually consists of Doritos and porn, when we say that something someone eats is batshit insane, you better believe we mean it. Enter 52-year-old Margaret Dahlman, a Netherlands resident who went to the hospital complaining of crippling stomach pains. Her X-rays revealed what appeared to be a huge, dense squid. We imagine the image was instantly faxed around the hospital offices with the caption, "Just look at this bullshit." After unzipping the woman seriously, we have no idea what surgeons do. The team found enough utensils to throw a dinner party for the United States Senate. They proceeded to remove over 78 spoons and forks, one by one. Science isn't sure why, but for some reason, almost 9% of pregnant women develop the urge to eat the drapes with a nice side salad. Hope you like today's search. If yes, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe.